Praise the Lord, everyone. Thank you for tuning in with Dr. Leisha, the Preacha-OK. Okay, I am working on a theory called the eternal deficit of mankind. It is a theory that Most High from above is giving to me, and I am developing and laying this theory out on YouTube. It's random, all over the place, chaotic, whatever. I'm just blindly researching this theory. But because I am a Black woman in America, this theory is developing through those lenses. More specifically, my lens as an individual. So, in America, as a Black woman, at this particular point in my life, as everyone in America, probably, we're reevaluating everything. We're reevaluating our belief systems in faith, family, jobs. A lot of us are considering, like, where do I really want to live? You know, I mean, now that things are so turned over in America, now that we are experiencing such a great transition, a change, a historical change. So, everyone here, I would imagine, that's an adult is trying to figure this thing out. What is my next move? I am so thankful. Okay, let me stop right there first and say that divorce is horrible. To this day, I would not wish divorce on my worst enemy. I just wouldn't. It crushes, it just crushes people. It just usually do. And in America, usually one family has to be destroyed completely in order for a new family to form. And because to a degree, that has happened to me twice, to a degree, I have been challenged to create this theory that Most High has given me right at the brink of my second marriage failing. He and I spent some time together researching marriages and different types of marriages, monogamy, polygamy, polyamory, all these, different things. And at one point in church, we were over the couples ministry, so I've always had this couples inspiration. I've always had like what I consider twin energy, creative energy, I guess you could say, because Most High says that male and female, this duality is his image. So I have the image of Most High in my DNA, I guess you could say. I know I am a part of his image. As black, old, ugly, worn out, and tired as I am, unwanted, and the list goes on. I know by faith that I am included in the image of Most High. So, with that being said, as you may have read the title by now, in America, there are a lot of people here, a lot of nations here, a lot of races here, however you want to describe it. So, despite the hundreds of us here, at the end of the day, there are two main groups in this country: white, black. Are there other groups? Yes, many other groups. Many, 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 many. More than we know at this point. Let truth be told, more than we know. But at the end of the day, it boils down to white and black. Basically, heaven and earth, light and dark, right and wrong, red and blue. You know how we do here in America. So today in America, in my mind, the white man is fairly invisible, actually. The white man has almost become a ghost in America. Today, we consider a white man someone like Donald Trump, president. Let me put some respect on that. President Donald Trump. To me, to me, even though President Donald Trump, rightfully so, is president, to me, he is not a white man. Not the kind of white man that I grew up with. Not the kind that is traditional, foundational, constitutional, bred, raised. You know what I'm saying, y'all? The whole concept of a white man has changed to the point where, as far as I know, Joe Biden might be the last one we see. Whether good or bad is irrelevant. He might be the last one we see. And I knew the moment that Madam Hillary Clinton was not voted in. I know we're having meltdowns and breakdowns and whatever over Madam Kamala Harris not winning, but I experienced this when Madam Hillary Clinton didn't win. The writing was on the wall when she did not win in 2016. And that's when I realized that not only were white men fading out, but white women Let me see. Something changed about the white woman. And how I know is because something changed about me. In 2016, when a white woman did not win the presidency, something changed. Something changed. And all I know is that whatever changed, I was so pissed. That's the word. I was pissed. I realized that I realized something, but I didn't have words for it. I didn't have a way to explain it. I just knew something changed and I was pissed. And we're headed in a direction that was the unknown. I felt like at that time, I just felt like whatever we are going through now, most people are talking about now. That's what I was talking about and experiencing and feeling back in 2016. All the stuff that people are, the energy that's connected to Madam Kamala Harris's loss, I experienced it in 2016. So I've already been here, done this, and have been preparing ever since. I saw the world change. I felt the energy around white women change. The woman who lost, the woman who lost, I don't think she lost just because of who she was. Not that alone. Not that alone. She didn't lose just because she was a woman. I'm not going to even put the word white out there because we know she didn't lose because she was white. We know that. She didn't lose just because she was a woman. That is not why. She lost because her husband was caught with his pants down in somebody else's mouth. That is why she lost. No matter what woman stands by a man with his pants hanging down to his ankles for the world to see, whether it's a bad woman, a good woman, or any woman in between. She can only go so far. Period. So here we are in 2024, 2025. We have a woman in the same situation. Not only are her sins exposed, but her husband's sins are exposed too. So things just get worse and worse and worse. So to me, all of what we're going through right now is just an extension of how far things can go from 2016. So, with that being said, all of that being said, white men checked out a long time ago, sold out, hold out a long time ago. White women tried to save face for as long as they could. They did. But they have run out of options now. They've run out of options. And so when I was deciding to get married, I felt that it was best to either marry a guy, well, I had to consider who was before me, put it that way. So either I had to pick the kind of guy that was so pro black that they were anti white, which does not fit my energy. That's not who I am. So, you know, I could only go so far with that. you know, I'm pro black, but I am not anti white. I'm not. Or I could get with a guy, I'm talking black men now, who have already been with so many white people, white women already, it's just not a big deal. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? It's just not a big deal. During that time, there weren't a lot of guys in between. There were mostly extreme guys, so pro black that they were anti white, or they were so into white women till, you know, there were not a lot of in between guys. I was born and raised in Detroit, and then I went away to a white college. Not much in between in Michigan. It's like you can't force experience in your life just because you gained a little knowledge a little along the way. No matter how much you learn about something, until you actually gain the experience, you just know about it. So I end up with a guy who acted, and I want to put quotes around the word acted, as though being with a black woman was going to be something special to him. And the reason why I believed him is because he wasn't known to be with us. He had been with white girls. So I'm like, okay, well, just logically, that makes sense. You saved your own for last. you know, you burned through all the others, sold all your wild oats with the others, played around, had your fun. But when it got down to actually getting married and having kids and stuff, he saved his own for last. You know, that's just how I kind of look at it when a guy presented that way. So, and I knew he you know, would be seeing whoever he wanted anyway. Just because he chose a black woman to be his wife and have kids with doesn't mean that the other women were just gone. I knew that too, you know what I'm saying? So, he was just figuring out how he could have the best of all worlds in his life. And at that time, I wasn't interested in having kids. All I wanted was a husband and a career. A husband, career, and go to church. That was supposed to be my life forever on this earth. Have a husband, because I don't want to have sex out of marriage. I don't want to be out of, spiritual law. I don't want to be illegal spiritually. And then I wanted to have a career because I knew independence was going to be important, for me to eat and have a roof over my head, you know. And then church is always important because, you know, Most High is my source, my father, my real husband, you know. That's who I'm really working for. So that was supposed to be my life. But that was not most high's plan for me, okay, guys? He had a whole different plan for me. So at this point, if you're still here, click like, hit subscribe, the notification bell. Most High was like, okay, I don't mind you having a husband. I don't mind you having college education. And I don't mind you, going to church. That's all cool. However, it's going to be done my way. And his way has been very interesting. It's been interesting, you know, very interesting. I felt like I've been running for my life. you know, I feel like I've been working for free. I feel like, you know, I've been taken advantage of. I feel like I've been um, misrepresented, abandoned, all because I'm a believer. I'm amongst people, but I don't conform. I may live with people, but I don't conform. I may work with people, but I don't conform. You know, I may party with people, but I don't conform. You know what I'm saying? So I get a lot of bad, you know, reviews, I guess you could say. Mixed reviews, stuff like that. So marrying someone the way that I did allowed me to feel that I could have some type of control. I could anticipate, still feel somewhat ahead of the game by being different, unique. Um, I don't know, you know. And then there was no real demands on me, no real demands that would offset my goals, dreams, you know. So I love, super, super love that part, you know what I mean, of that first marriage. And then church, I mean, we were in the same faith. I'm like sold, you know. So all of that was just beautiful. But then Most High said, I want you to have my baby. No one ever really told, well, that's not true. I can't say that no one ever told me that that was possible because that's what the whole Abraham, Sarah, and Hagar story was all about. Most High said, I want y'all to have my baby. And they were like, well, we too old to have your baby. You know what I'm saying? My situation was a little different, but at the end of the day, Most High chose me to have his baby. I was already married, already in college, already, you know, in church. I was already living the life that I desired. I was already living the life that I desired. But Most High was like, I want you to have my baby. So I went and talked to my husband about it. And we end up with two babies ultimately. And divorced. And I remarried. So having kids challenged me to have greater standards in life, to obey Most High more than I was. You know, to actually have a relationship with Most High. You know, to not become comfortable in my own personal achievements. There's nothing wrong with personal achievements, of course, it's not, but not at the expense of disobeying Most High. It's never worth that. Never. So I already grew up in a city full of black girls, so I knew how to deal with black girls. And when black girls, you know, when your best friend or your different ones, messing with your boyfriend or whatever. I already had experience in dealing with stuff like that. Friends messing with my man and stuff like that. But what I didn't have experience in was white women. I mean, I didn't have a problem with any of them. Growing up, I didn't have any problems. But I didn't have any experience in life, real life with them either. So here is a guy who is black like me, who has experience with the white world, a world that it's not that I didn't know anything about, but he knew about them in a way that I didn't. I had never had an intimate relationship with a white person, not on the level that he did. So here is somebody that I can learn from. Here is someone that can show me a world that I know nothing about. How can black people love white people? How is that possible? How do white people love black people? How is that possible? I had seen Roots, the movie Roots, and I saw slavery you know, and I just couldn't imagine willingly, willingly being involved with people that were so evil. I mean, not that my people were not evil, you know, not that my people were not evil. I'm not saying that. But those people were really evil, and they were evil to my people. And so I could not imagine willingly surrendering myself, my soul, my spirit, my body, my mind, my hopes and dreams to people who have already destroyed me for generations. I just, you know what I mean? So the only way I could even learn such a thing was by such a black boy. A black boy from a different city, you know. But yet he ate the same kind of food I ate. That I'm gonna tell you why I trusted him. His mama food tastes like my granny's food. And when she said she was from Mississippi, not that far from my granny's hometown, regardless to whatever that boy experienced with white people, I knew he was my people. I knew he was my people. He looked like me, and the food was the same. I mean, like, you know, I'm a foodie person, and your people food gotta taste like my people food. And so that's why I trusted him. His mama's cooking was from the same kind of cooking I was raised on. And I love my grandmama and I trusted her. She wasn't perfect. And she lived between a rock and a hard spot in life. But I trusted her food. And I know women that cook like that can endure hard times. So I knew whatever he endured with white people and still successful today, still looking good and strong up at this college. You know what I'm saying? Well, I want a taste of it. So I dated him and became his wife because he could offer something to me that I would not have gotten otherwise. The ability to understand the mind of a white woman. He had sex with hundreds of them by the time he got to me. And I knew what the Bible said about transferring the spirits and all that kind of stuff. And I knew if I was going to make it in this college and make it in this world, that I was going to have to understand the white woman. Because I could tell already that white men had checked out, were checking out. And then by the time 2016 came, I felt the pain, the drain. And I've been preparing ever since that same year before she even lost, because I'm spiritual, you know. The same year before she even lost, I bought 2 houses that year. And I didn't get to live in neither one of those houses. I was storing up. One of them I had to get for the baby, sugar baby for real. He only bought that house for the sugar baby. I'm just gonna be honest. It's embarrassing, but I ain't care. I'm legal. So whatever you buy from your heart, what's on in writing is what matters. So you can impress your little sugar baby all you want with this house. Our daughter is moving in with her because they are the real lovers, right? They're the real lovers. So let's put our daughter in the sugar baby over there. It's in my name, so it don't matter what's in your heart. It's what's in my name that counts. But anyway, so when it comes to white women, you got to know that most black men, not every single black man, okay, black man, but most black men are going to take a taste, guys. They are going to. Now, some of them are bold and brave enough to do it early in their life to the point where they don't even think about anyone that's not white. And they start early, they don't date nobody else. Like, let's say age 5 on up, white girls, white girls, white girls. Okay. So that's the kind I went for my first marriage. By the time he got to me, I decided, well, maybe I will try somebody black. He had been through so many white girls, you know what I mean? He done lost the taste, the flavor, you know what I mean? Not that it'll ever really go away with them. It never really go away. But when they're raised a certain way and they see how many white girls got put out, put down because they dated them. I mean, all that stuff do matter to them. I mean, they'll still burn through 100 more white girls, but they don't care what happened to these girls, as long as they get a piece. You know what I'm saying? But at some point, it it has to mess with you that this girl got put in the street just because she loved me. Dang, how many white girls do you have to put in the street, and you ain't gonna marry her? You know what I mean? You know you're not gonna marry this girl. Why have her put in the street over a one night stand with you? But that's too deep for black men. That's too deep. That's too deep. That's called being responsible for other people's souls. That's called having accountability and all that, and they don't want that. So anyway, I married him, but I knew that he was gonna always struggle. You know, I knew what I was marrying. I knew exactly that he would always struggle with cheating on me with white girls. I knew that. I wasn't slow. And but when I became a mom, which I wasn't, that was not the plan. I didn't want to be a mother when I got married. We were married knowing that I wouldn't be, you know, because I just knew how men were. I wanted to be a wife because I didn't want to have sex, just keep on having sex out of wedlock forever. So I figured the compromise was don't have no kids by then. If I don't have no kids, then I could be married to them and sleep in peace. While they're out there sleeping in whatever they're sleeping in, I'll be at home sleeping in peace, not stressing over their kids. That's just how I looked at it. I mean, I know it was cold and it was whatever, but it was my reality at the time. This was like the 80s, 90s, y'all. Boomerang was out. Let me see, what movies? Martin, you know, you got Living Single. This is all the stuff that was influencing me. And I'm like, well, shoot. you know, I'm just saying, just keeping it real. So once I had kids, I started to really care about him, me, care about a family. I started caring more than about just having a career. Basically, the career went out the window. Once I started having kids, the career went out the window. I had no idea I was going to be the kind of mother that wanted to watch every footstep of my kids. I didn't want to miss the first footstep, the first anything. I just didn't want to. I didn't know I was going to be that kind of mother. I figured just put them kids in daycare and go make my 100,000 a year. I'm gonna be rich. Put these kids in daycare, get a nanny, wherever. I'm being rich. That's not what happened. I started my own daycare at home. I mean, we started the family auto window tinting business, which he still runs today. 30 something years later, he's still running that same business. Well, about 35 years later or something. 30, whatever. But I started a home daycare business because I wanted to be there for my kids. I didn't want nobody else around my kids but me. Period. And so we were just entrepreneurs. We both were entrepreneurs to the bone. We just didn't want to work for nobody else but ourselves. And that's how we raised our kids. But I'm raising my grandkids a little different. A little different. I'm raising them to be half breeds. Keep yourself in the workplace and have your businesses on the side. I mean, you have your businesses and then, pull a W-2 on the side. kind of thing. So, you know, teaching them a little different. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. Diversify in the family. And some people can just be the W-2 pullers in the family, and other people's can be the entrepreneurs. And just people got to share. People got to share these resources and stop being so greedy and hoarding. Generational wealth is exactly that, for the generation to share, you know? But anyway, so once I had kids and I started caring about me, him, and an actual family unit above anything else, he and I used to ride motorcycles together. He used to let to ride motorcycles. So I used to be, his motorcycle babe on the back. Once I had kids, I said, what are one of the white girls at? I ain't getting on the back of no motorcycles no more. You can you can let one of the white girls ride on there. You know what I'm saying? I was serious. I picked one of them for him. I picked his next, you know, motorcycle babe because it wasn't gonna be me. I'm a mom now. She was a mom. I was babysitting her daughter. I didn't care. Let her ride. I don't want, you want to do it? She was like, yeah, go ahead. I ain't getting on there. I got kids now. I got something to live for, you know, something to fight for. Yeah, buddy. But then, I don't know. I started changing in ways spiritually, in the church, growing. And he was just riding white girls on a motorcycle. Now he was doing more than that. He was growing the family business. He grew the family business in ways that is just miraculous. I will always be proud of what we accomplished together in that business. I didn't do a whole lot. I just gave birth to it. And he raised it. I raised the real kids and he raised the business. And I'm proud of our work. We didn't stay together. I couldn't, once I had the kids, I really couldn't handle being cheated on no more. And so that's what putting the white girl on the motorcycle really meant to me. You know what? I'm a mom now. You can have this life. Put the white girl on the bike and go. That's really what that meant that day. I didn't know I was saying all that, but I was. Wow, the symbolism of things. Interesting, very interesting. And I moved on, got married again. It was hell, but I endured it. It was hell too, but I endured it. I endured it. He tried to do the motorcycle thing too, but once he became a dad and we adopted a child, he sold it. Ooh, child. So now the second husband, he was kind of selling himself as like the pro-black, anti-white. He was kind of like on the fence with it a little bit. And I even tested him out, and he was still kind of acting kind of scared of white people. Now he worked with him, he worked with him. He's an engineer, professional engineer, Urkel, nerdy type of guy. But, according to him, he was a virgin. I was his first kiss, everything, y'all. So when we divorced, during the course of our marriage, he learned to be a lot more open because I was a lot more open. I was no virgin. So he learned to be a lot more open, a lot more confident, and, make more money and all that. Urkel, you know how Urkel turns his to fine. So, so he didn't play the white girl card early in the marriage. So I knew By the time he told me to was bold enough to let me know that he didn't want me no more, I was like, oh, okay, he about to play the white girl card. So it's time to prepare. I mean, I know black men. You gotta know your men. I know my men. I know black men. I won't go to no other race. I don't do other races like that. I don't. So I know my men inside out. And I know when to pull a white girl card. I know. So if a black man don't pull his white girl cards in the beginning or don't do play the white girl card all throughout, then he gonna pull it at the end. Trust. Take it to the bank, girls. Every time. That's my white girl wisdom, y'all. And I learned it from my first husband. We learned a lot from each other. And I think he married me because he had never messed with a girl from the hood. I was from the hood. He was scared to come to Detroit. was he was from Lansing, guys, and he was so scared coming through the hood of Detroit, coming to meet my people the first time. I'm like, see, ain't nothing happening to you. You with me. I'm East Side, nigga. Ain't nothing gonna happen to you on the East Side. Drop my name, boy. Bye. I just went to college. I didn't die. You know, I just went off to school. I did not die. But he was safe with me on the East Side. He was cool. I was with him because he lived the white life. And again, I had been around all kind of people my whole life. You know, I had white friends coming up. I had crushes, on white guys coming up. I had crushes and stuff. But I never dated or really I just never went there. I was raised to be kind and be nice and respectful to people. And don't mess with white people because they can lock your ass up. You get to messing around with them white people and you will never see you again. That's how I was raised. Be nice to them, but don't get too caught up with them because we'll never see you again. So, you know. So when I went to college, I mean, people in my family were happy for me, but they were scared. My family was happy and scared for me. You going where? Why can't you just go to Wayne State right here in the city? They got pharmacy here. I wanted to go with the white people. I'm going to Fair State. I'm going 3 hours away. 3 hours up the road, guys. you know. And so I got with a black guy who could navigate my journey in the white world, and he did a great job. And I was able to raise our daughters in a suburb and be superior at it. You know what I mean? And I learned it from him. I'm just gonna say it. And I taught it to my second husband, and now he married to a white woman. You know what I'm saying? He was able to leave me to go get one. So I'm really good at preparing black people, especially from the hood. You know, wait a minute, am I a reverse? I'm just kidding. Helping black people escape from the hood. No, I'm just kidding. I'm being silly. But no, but yeah, but as far as playing the white woman card, I learned how to do that. And I had to learn it from the brothers because I wouldn't have access to white women without black men. How else could I have access to white women without black men? My family had complete control over my life until I was legally married. Whether right or wrong, good or bad, you know, my real family, whether right or wrong, good or bad, in legal marriage, I have always been covered on this earth, either by family or marriage, period, until now. For the first time in my life, in my late or mid 50s, I'm independent of family and marriage and I stand on my own. I'm wobbly at it. I'm wobbling, y'all. Look crazy. On here, sound crazy, look crazy, just buck wild. But I'm here. I'm alive. I have 2 kids, 8 grandkids, and we all right. We all right. We've endured because I knew how to play the white woman card when I needed to. White men checked out a long time ago, and I had to understand white women so that I wouldn't be bankrupt. I'm not bankrupt, y'all. I ain't rich, but I ain't bankrupt either. Praise the Lord. All right. Click like, subscribe, hit the notification button. Keep up with your girl. Share my videos, binge watch. I have over 6,000 videos. I'm not monetized anywhere on social media, but I do have a PayPal, and it's Dr. Alicia the Preacher. Thanks in advance for your love and support, and see you next time. It won't be long.